Hey everyone, I am Lee Cole, President and CEO here at Breakthrough, and I just want to take this opportunity to welcome you to our Ergonomics, Keeping You Healthy at Work presentation that we've put together for. So who's this for? Well, whether you use one monitor or two monitors or three, whether you sit or stand, you're in the office or remote, whatever that is, this is for you, and certainly for your spouses, significant others, friends, family, all of those things. A little bit about me. I have been a physical therapist since 1998. I've run Breakthrough since 2004. We started it with the goal of helping people feel healthier, happier, stronger, and to navigate the healthcare system. Since COVID, we have been able to leverage that with our virtual platform. And so we're now helping people all over the world to navigate various health and wellness concerns, especially in the musculoskeletal space, Parkinson's, vestibular issues, pelvic floor, incontinence, fall prevention, adolescent sports performance and injury prevention, and things like that. It's a huge passion of ours, as well as helping moms throughout their pregnancies, planning for pregnancy, things like that. So all sorts of fun things. And as you can see, this is my family, including my beautiful wife, Christina. Thanks to her, we've been married over 20 years now. Baxter, our dog, and then our oldest, Carter, and then Katie is our daughter, and Preston. So this was a great shot that we had during some family time up at Thanksgiving. So definitely family is important, and wellness and trying to balance work and life and all of these things is a priority for me. So I hope that helps. This is obviously not intended to replace any individual assessment guidance and things like that. So if you have very specific needs, then please consult your local doctor, physical therapist, chiropractor, or certainly feel free to leverage our virtual health consultation services that I'll make available to you at the end of this presentation. So quick outline, obviously, before I can get into too much detail, we've got to get some statistics out there and basic anatomical sense, and then we'll go into sitting situations, standing, sit-stand considerations, mobile devices. I'll go through some stretching mobility. That'll be fun for you. You can get up and move around. And then nutritional considerations, and then additional ways that Breakthrough can help. So without further ado, let's get it rolling. Occupational injury statistics. Well, we all know this is a huge problem, and certainly with all of us working from home since COVID, and then moving back to the office, and people just continuously finding what that right situation is for them. Is it sitting, standing, and then also with those people with more physical jobs, obviously lifting and carrying and things of that nature affect them as well. So yeah, 60%, 32% out of these injuries are ergonomic related. 600,000 office workers miss at least one day of work due to an ergonomic injury. So that cost to a company, to their family. People are taking potentially their PTO or other time away for injury issues, doctor's appointments, things of that nature. And we want to help with that. And then the cost is just extreme, obviously, $50 billion annually. This is huge. It's something that we've got to do something about. So this presentation is one step in that direction. I don't claim to have all the solutions for everybody, that's for sure. Statistics. So lost productivity back in 2010 was 297.4 billion to 335 billion. So this is a big problem. It's been a problem for a long time, as you can see. And so again, it says, why are these chairs empty? Well, that's because people are either gone from work, or they're, workers' comp, or, having to attend to doctor's visits and things like that. So again, just kind of showing you the progression. So it's a matter of, really taking control. You can see this trend, and we've got to stop it. We got to break it. So this is something that we're here to do. So it has been shown that effective ergonomics interventions reduce musculoskeletal problems by 61%. It reduces staff turnover by 87%, and lost work days by 88%. So in general, what we see with our clients is that by investing in these services, we are able to significantly actually improve the bottom line. So with any program that we ever do, we want to make sure that every dollar, every minute is maximized for the benefit of the people around us. That's just what we're all about here at Breakthrough. So let's get into the anatomy. The spine is made up of 24 vertebrae, including the sacrum and coccyx, and then the intervertebral discs, which are the little discs, kind of like little cushions, and also help control different rotation within each vertebral segment. And then there's multiple ligaments, muscles, which aid in the stability and guiding all sorts of postural control, as well as movement, of course. So the pectorals and shoulder. So obviously, everything that we do is in front of us. So it's very important to understand that we have that we need to continually stretch out our pectorals, especially if you're one of those who works out and really does a lot of push-ups and bench work and things of that nature. We need to really focus a lot on the back muscles to help neutralize that, because everything that we're doing is so much in front of us, puts extra demand there. So we want to make sure that we're nice and loose there. Some key muscles, the latissimus and the lumbodorsal fascia. There actually is a study that was done that shows that the lumbodorsal fascia, just the connective tissue there, which intertwines all throughout the entire back, but also just fascia itself is intertwined throughout the entire body. And that fascia, specifically lumbodorsal fascia, is stronger than steel cable in some cases. So this is an incredible thing for us to all harness, and not to think about, it's just discs and muscles and ligaments, but the fascia, the connective tissue that's all in there and intertwined and helps things glide along one another. It's really important to be aware of. A lot of people I see, start to use, back braces and lumbar supports and things of this nature. But the reality is, the multifidus, and specifically the transversus abdominis, you have your own lumbar belt there. The problem is that we utilize these external devices. One, sometimes if you're lifting really heavy stuff and you want to provide that extra support, that might make sense. But the reality is most of us fail to remember how to utilize these muscles that we were built with. And so then when that happens, everything starts to crumble around it. So it's very important that we learn how to get control of our multifidus transversus abdominis and get that support for the spine to help our mobility. So key muscles in the lower extremities include the quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, adductors, hip flexors as well. One story that I'd like to share with you from a continuing education course that I took many years ago was a story of a bunch of physical therapists who went to a program at Kaiser Hospital up in Vallejo. They had a world-renowned neurological program. So people, physical therapists would come from all over the world. They'd apply to this program. It was a 6-month program. And one of the things that they did in that program for these physical therapists, people who know about the body, know about fitness and things like that, is that they did a exercise routine in the morning. It was just kind of a team building event that they did, but also because the work that they were doing in the neuro department there was very physical. Sometimes they were dealing with people who couldn't get out of bed, or if they did, they would get up too quickly or not follow cues, again, based on neurological, stroke issues and things like that. So they weren't able to really follow directions very clearly. So you had to be very much in a good position posturally as a physical therapist. And then if someone fell, you had to catch them, type of thing. So one of the things that they did was they all held a solid squat for 5 minutes as part of that routine every single day. Well, as you can imagine, all the therapists kept complaining about it. So they said, can we take this out? This is just awful. So Kaiser said, no problem. We'll take it out, but we're going to do a survey of really how all of your backs are doing and look at posture and all of these things. They retested them 3 months later, and that was the only thing that they changed out of this program that these people had already been in. and obviously knew about posture body mechanics with the things that they were doing. And they had a 30% increase in low back pain in these physical therapists just by removing that one thing. So again, think about it. If your legs aren't strong enough, your back's going to find a way. So we end up moving and twisting and doing things just to be able to accomplish the task, but not necessarily in a way that is best for our body. And as a result, we need to really take the time to build these proper strength, flexibility in our tissues so that we're able to use the proper form and musculature with whatever task we do. So moving along, let's go over just a couple of postural things. Oftentimes we call it the Donald Duck posture or sway back position, where you have an excessive lordosis or hollowing in the back. And then again, right in through here, you can see the hollowing of the lower back. So that's that. And as a result, that's also a result of having tight hip flexors. So that's a really important thing. And especially when you're sitting all day, then your hip flexors are in that flex position. So these are muscles that then get stretched out as your hip goes into extension. And so we need to be sure that we aren't sitting all day and that we get up and move around, or that we're able to stretch out even at our desk like I'm doing now, but you probably can't see it. And then you have the Pink Panther, right? So really that kind of slouch back and just, everything's kind of sagging, bottoms tucked under type of thing. So this is a situation where we're really not using good muscular control to help hold ourselves up against gravity. And the more you do that, then gravity just keeps winning. And so you start to get compression in discs and segments and, increased pressure on your spine and pelvis and the hip joint and all of things. So then you have this militaristic posture or military posture, which is just this excessive use that we're trying to be in this perfect posture, which is not really needed and can cause excessive loading on joints, because in some cases, they hold themselves up, but they actually lock joints and type of thing. So then they're not actually using muscular control, but just using the force of bone on bone, which is not good. So what we want to find is more of a neutral spine, a happy medium. You probably try to find that in your own life every day, maybe even today. And so it's just a constant effort that all of us have to make. Myself, teaching this stuff all the time. Of course, I'm not in perfect posture at any time, but I'm able to realize when I'm starting to slouch or I'm excessively lordotic or my Donald Duck or Pink Panther or whatever, or if I'm starting to get different aches and pains, that I'm able to be more in tune with what that is. And so I'm able to then make some changes, increase my stretching routine, increase some strengthening, and focus on those areas. So hopefully this will be helpful for that. So proper mechanics with your daily activities. So ADLs is activities of daily living, which is very common in the medical community. So that's a good term for you to know. Hip hinging. So bending from the hips while maintaining natural curves in the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine. So we don't want to be bending, from our back and things of that nature. We want to have a nice, smooth transition where you basically have a hinge through your hip joint, and so that you're moving around that. So symmetrical weight bearing. We don't want people hanging out on one leg versus another, or kicking their hip out, type of thing where you're, sitting like this or locking a knee, and just kind of hanging out in this situation. We don't want to do that. And then again, just to kind of show you that hip hinging is really, almost imagining like you've got a bar on your back and that you're just moving straight forward, hinging from the hip. So that's just a hip hinge. So proper squatting, right? Bending from the hips instead of bending from the back and things like that. Utilizing that squat form that I talked about earlier is really critical. Otherwise, you're going to load other segments, potentially stretch your shoulders out if you're lifting something really heavy, things like that. So we want to make sure that we're trying to maintain as much symmetry as possible there.